iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prasyat Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayādvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayādvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parikacharya Astottara Sri Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की जय. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमती डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय. नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर धाम की जय. वृंदावन धाम की जय. मथुरा धाम की मायापुर नंदी धाम जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. गंगामयी यमुनामयी की जय. तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय. समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, always Shiva and Gauranga.
Well, welcome everybody to Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, and today we're starting with 4.22.1.
Yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ramaraj, would you like to read?
You can start.
Okay. Jaya Uvacha Janeshu Pragranat Evam Pratum Pratula Vikramam Tatropajagmur Munayas Chatvara Surya Varchasa. Translation. The great sage Maitreya said, while the citizens were thus praying to the most powerful King Prithu, the four Kumaras, who were as bright as the sun, arrived on the spot.
So this is right after the citizens. They're still there, I guess. Right, Maharaj?
So it would seem that the citizens have been praising Prithu Maharaj.
We have something in the chat. Praveen Prabhu writes, Muniya could mean any Muni. How was it that the Munis were the four Kumaras? From the text.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Tadhati Shupadantika Pandehang Shri Guru Shri Jat Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitamstam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Purjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lolita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamchana Gaurambi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Pute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Panchako Pitarupyascha Kripa Sindho Yevacha Tita Nam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. The text mentions Muniya, but Muniya Chatvara, Muniya Chatvara, four Munis. And in later texts, we'll find that explicitly said that these are the Kumars, particularly Sanat Kumar will instruct Maharaj Prithu. Surya Varchasa, they were also four brilliantly effulgent sages. So Prithu Maharaj could understand that these were the Kumars. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Maharaj, would you like to read from text 2?
Comes to Siddheshwaran Raja, Yom no Vatarato Chisa, Lokana Papan Kurvana, Sanugo Chashta Lakshitan. Seeing the glowing effulgence of the four Kumars, the masters of all mystic powers, the king and his associates could recognize them as they descended from the sky. Report. The four Kumars are described herein as Siddheshwaran, which means masters of all mystic power. One who has attained perfection in yoga practice immediately becomes master of the 8 mystic perfections. To become smaller than the smallest, to become lighter than the lightest, become bigger than the biggest, to achieve anything one desires, to control everything, etc. These 4 Kumars, as Siddheshwaras, had achieved all the yogic perfectional achievements, and as such, they could travel in outer space without machines. While they were coming to Prithu Maharaj from other planets, they did not come by airplane, but personally. In other words, these 4 Kumars were also spacemen who could travel in space without machines. The residents of the planet known as Siddhaloka can travel in outer space from one planet to another without vehicles. However, the special power of the Kumars mentioned herewith is that whatever place they went to would immediately become sinless. During the reign of Maharaj Prithu, everything on the surface of this globe was sinless, and therefore the Kumars decided to see the king. So there are these 8 mystic perfections which are attainable. The Prabhupada has cited some examples of yogis, one of them being in his experience when he was a child, who could show mystic cities. The one that in his childhood showed Prapti City. He and his friend went to see the yogi, and the yogi asked, "What would you like?" The boys, "We'd like some pomegranates." And even though the pomegranates weren't in season, the yogi said, "Just see in the next room." And there was a big branch full of pomegranate fruits, all fresh. So Prapti Siddhi, Prabhupada cited the example of some yogi who was sitting in the marketplace naked. So the British authorities arrested him and put him in jail. And then there he was in the marketplace again, because he had the ability to become smaller than the smallest. And so he just passed out through the bars and went back to where he was. So these siddhis are factual. Sometimes also other people have been reported, not necessarily in the context of yoga, to display unusual mystic powers. So these things are possible. And on the Siddhaloka, everyone has them. They're born with these mystic powers. Some years ago, there was a very popular yogi who was giving mantras for transcendental realization through meditation. And they were doing very well. Then they announced a Siddhi program where for a certain fee, one could be trained and quickly develop these siddhis. Particularly, it was advertised that they could attain laghima. They would be able to rise into the air. The claims didn't really yield much in the way of practical results. It seemed that they'd shot themselves in the foot that they were able to do, but not rise into the air. There's a line here. Lokana papan kurbanan. They made all the planets sinless. Lokana papan kurbanan. And Srila Prabhupada comments in sort of two ways. First, he says that they had the special power that whatever place they went to would immediately become sinless. And then he says, during the reign of Maharaj Prithu, everything on the surface of the globe was sinless, and therefore the Kumars decided to visit the king. So it seems that they had the power to make any place sinless, but this place was already sinless on account of Prithu Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
In the chat, Praveen Prabhu writes, a common argument. If demigods exist, why don't they come here now?
A common answer, because the place is sinful. In previous times, the demigods would come because this was a pious planet. But now it's become very sinful, so the demigods don't like to come.
Swati Mashi writes, Pranams Parampuja, Gurudev, and all the Vaishnavas. Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur also punished a yogi who was advertising himself as an incarnation, and the yogi used his power to make him and his family very ill. Still, as a magistrate, he punished the yogi and had his hair cut off, which held his yogic power, like Samson.
Yes, like Samson. So yes, there's another example of mystic power. And Prabhupada mentions, I think, perhaps in Nectar of Devotion, that sometimes the yogis get a little bit of this power to control the minds of others, and so they become influential, famous, and so on. But that doesn't make them God, as they sometimes advertise themselves to be.
So Maharaj, Hare Krishna, and it is mentioned that all these yogic power, they are still on a material level, and they doesn't do any good for you in spiritual wise.
Yes, these are material powers, and Prabhupada gives examples that become lighter than the lightest while the airplanes are doing that, and then so on. These mystic powers can be replicated in some ways by material endeavors. And it's well understood in yoga circles sometimes that these powers are distractions on the path of attaining perfection, whether one considers impersonal realization to be perfection or personal. If one becomes distracted by yogic powers, then his progress is interrupted. Mukti mukti siddhi kami shakala shanta. Those, just as sense gratification and liberation are considered distractions, so siddhi, yogic siddhis, are another distraction.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
You have something in the chat? Praveen Prabhu writes, Sadhavo Nyasina Shanta Parmishta Loka Pavanaha Paranti Agamte Naga Sangat Tes Aste Hi Aga Vid Darihi. Bhagirata said, those who are saintly because of devotional service and are therefore in the renounced order, free from material desires, and who are pure devotees, expert in following the regulative principles mentioned in the Vedas, are always glorious and pure in behavior, and are able to deliver all fallen souls. When such pure devotees bathe in your water, the sinful reactions accumulated from other people will certainly be counteracted. For such devotees always keep in the core of their hearts the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can vanquish all sinful reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Praveen Prabhu writes, demigods compared to sadhus. Right, Gupta Prabhu writes, sometimes people outside of India have the power to control and manipulate people without having any connection with yoga. Would that be a carryover from a previous life?
Yes, all these powers, even someone's beautiful, someone's famous, and so on, these come from past karmic credits, if you will. So, yes, sometimes mystic powers are seen. Parapsychological literature offers a lot of examples of people showing what we would call mystic powers. And some of the accounts are quite impressive. But without those persons having practiced yoga visibly. So, yes, previous credit. And Siddha Loka, everyone has full previous credit, so they're born with all the mystic powers. They take birth on Siddha Loka, all the mystic powers are there. But, all right, on this planet, everyone has some little mystic power. Mystic power, it's all mystical. How is it that some gorgeous woman attracts the minds of men? Some mystic power.
True.
Shamsindhu has a hand there.
Yeah. Also, Praveen Prabhu writes, clarifying the previous line, demigods go away from sinful places, but sadhus purify the place.
Thank you. I was wondering what the purport was. Hare Krishna.
Shamsindhu Prabhu?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Question regarding liberation. So it seems like it's a prerequisite for pure devotional service to be on the liberated platform, and it's mentioned, in what I think 2.15, and then Brahma also mentions it in that famous prayer in the 10th canto. So it seems like it's a prerequisite and an important part of our process. But then it's also blasted as a distraction and kind of an impediment. So at what point is it a stepping stone to pure devotional service, and when does it become an actual blocker for someone to make further progress?
Liberation means freedom, and especially freedom from sinful activities. Yesham tvantukatam papam jananam punyakarmanam tedvanvan moha nirmukta bhajante mam dritha vrita. In the Bhagavad Gita, those who have come to the end of sinful life, antakatam papam, and jananam punyakarmanam, who've accumulated credit of pious activities. Tedvanva moha nirmukta, they're freed from duality and illusion, or the duality of illusion. Bhajante mam trita vrita, and therefore they graduate to the next stage, determined devotional service. So freedom from sinful activities is very good. One can't really engage in devotional service unless one is freed from sinful activities. Therefore, no gambling, no intoxicants, no meat eating, no illicit sex, so that one comes to the end of sinful life. But the liberation that's a distraction is impersonal liberation. If one becomes attracted to the idea of becoming, of merging into the Supreme, of becoming one with God, then that liberation becomes a distraction, kaivalya. That oneness, that kind of idea of liberation is the one that's a distraction. Otherwise, to be freed from sinful activities is completely favorable.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Maharaj. Okay, so then there's two, and that distinction is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
Very much.
Questions? Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sometimes the word Brahmabhuta is used, and I'm wondering, and it's sometimes talked about as like a stepping stone, or like it comes before devotional service, or something along those lines. I've heard. Can you elaborate on that? It's related to this idea of liberation, I think.
Yeah, Brahmabhuta prasannatma nashochati nakankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate para. In the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmabhuta is mentioned, a person whose Brahmabhuta is prasannatma. Prasannatma means he's completely joyful. Nashochati nakankshati, he doesn't lament for anything, doesn't hanker for anything. Samasarveshu bhuteshu, he sees everything or all living beings on an equal level. Madbhaktim labhate param, such a person achieves madbhakti, devotional service to me. So Brahmabhuta there means spiritual realization, to understand that I'm not this body, that I'm spirit soul, that all living beings are spiritual, to come to the spiritual platform. This is the Brahmabhuta. Brahma means spirit. To come to the platform of spiritual realization is the first stage. I'm not this body, aham brahmasmi, I'm spirit soul. But then one has to go further to come to the next stage, devotional service. Is that okay?
In the path of aspiring devotee, does Brahmabhuta, like, is it sort of like something that happens in the beginning when you hear, or is it something that a kind of realization that happens later?
No, that should be, that's ABC. That's already included in devotional service. That one understands that I'm spirit soul, one understands that all living beings are part and parcel of Krishna. This is expected in the life of the devotee. Not that he's a conditioned soul, he still thinks he's this body, but he's performing pure devotional service. Of course, anyone who may accidentally engage in devotional service is counted with transcendental credit. Jamil was not freed from material hankering by any means. But somehow he accidentally performed devotional service. So that was counted as pure devotional service, in spite of his not being Brahmabhuta or situated on the spiritual platform of self-realization. But in the normal course of things, the devotee naturally picks up Janayatiyashu Vairagam Gyanam Jayādvaita. Automatically, by dint of devotional service, he acquires the assets of Vairagya and Vidya, transcendental understanding. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You just read text 2. Pradesha Prabhu, are you available?
Doesn't seem so.
Mahesh Pandit Prabhu.
Okay, thanks. Number 3. Tad darshano dagnatan pranan pratyadi stur rivostitah sasadakshyanugo vainya indroyev sho gunaniva. Seeing the 4 Kumaras, Prithu Maharaj was greatly anxious to receive them. Therefore, the king with his officers very hastily got up, as anxious as a conditioned soul whose senses are immediately attracted by the modes of material nature. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 3:27 it is said, Prakash prakrute kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha ahankar vimudatmana atma kartaham iti manyate. Every conditioned soul is influenced by a particular mixture of the modes of material nature. As such, the conditioned soul is attracted to certain type of activity which he is forced to perform because he is completely under the influence of material nature. Here, Prithu Maharaj is compared to such conditioned soul, not because he was conditioned soul, but because he was so anxious to receive the Kumaras that it was as if without them he would have lost his life. The conditioned soul is attracted by the object of sense gratification. His eyes are attracted to see beautiful things. His ears are attracted to hear nice music. Nose is attracted to enjoy aroma of a nice flower. And tongue is attracted to the taste of nice food. Similarly, all his other senses, his hands, legs, his belly, his genitals, his mind, etc., are so susceptible to the attraction of the objects of enjoyment that he cannot restrain himself. Prithu Maharaj, in the same way, could not restrain himself from receiving the 4 Kumaras who were bright by dint of their spiritual progress. And thus, not only he himself, but also his officers and associates all received the 4 Kumaras. It is said, birds of a feather flocks together. In this world, everyone is attracted by a person of the same category. A drunkard is attracted to person who are also drunkard. Similarly, a saintly person is attracted by other saintly person. Prithu Maharaj was in the topmost position of spiritual advancement, and as such, he was attracted by the Kumaras, who were the same category. It is said, therefore, that a man is known by his company. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Madde Paramanand Madhum Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Shri Govindaya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaur Bhaktamanda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So when Prithu Maharaj saw 4 Kumars coming from the air, he just rushed to welcome him. And along with him, also all the citizens also went with him to receive four Kumaras. And Prabhupada here says that one is known by the company he keeps. Or in other words, one gets influenced by the company he keeps also. So, same way we are advised to keep the company of higher personalities like devotees. And that way, we are safe. Otherwise, what happens is you get affected by the three modes of material nature and how the company is, whether it's in mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. So, Kusu Maharaj here just rushed to receive four Kumaras. Just like a conditioned soul. But remember, he is all about the conditioned soul. He is incarnation, Saktyavesh Avatar, incarnation of Krishna. And this is a very nice verse. Prakrute kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasva. Ahankar vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. One thinks that he is doing everything by himself, but actually it is done by three modes of material nature. Gune karmani sarvasva. It's done by guna, or three modes of material nature. But because of ahankar or pride, or he thinks he's doing everything by himself. Very important verse. And birds of a feather flocks together. That means you need to find a company of the devotees and mix together with them. Otherwise, you will be affected. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. The senses are spontaneously attracted to the sense objects. Srila Rupa Goswami has a verse, Novad Sukritam Yat Sneham Lolaya Sneham Hridi Pipati Balaka Kadachit Kanyam Upagam Yat Shanenu Thanikurshe. When will I be attracted to you, Krishna, just as a young boy is attracted by a young girl? The Prabhupada used to sometimes quote this verse. And then here, yes, birds of a feather. The senses are spontaneously attracted to sense objects. A young boy is spontaneously attracted to a young girl, and Prithu Maharaj was spontaneously attracted by the Kumaras. So much so that his eagerness is expressed here by this analogy. The Kumaras have come, so naturally he's so eager to greet them and to hear from them. There's a commentary here by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He says, an analogy is given to illustrate Prithu standing up. Prithu rose up as if to regain his life airs, which had left his body on seeing the effulgence of the Kumaras. I think that's on seeing the Kumaras, he rose up. Urdhvam prana kramanti. Urdhvam prana kramanti. Yunas stavira agate. Pratyutana pivadabhyam punastan pratipadyata. When elders approach, the life airs of the young move upwards out of the body. By standing up in respect and greeting the elders, the life airs return to the body. Mahabharata. Thus, if one does not rise up when elders approach, one's lifespan decreases. Prithu's eagerness is shown by an example. The jiva follows after sense objects like smell. Okay.
Saraswati, Ashi.
Gurudev, I have a question regarding the particular rasa that the Kumaras in, because I came across something in the Chaitanya Charitamrita which really sort of confused me, because we do know that the Kumaras started off as impersonalists, but after experiencing the fragrance of the tulsi leaves when they at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, whom they visited, they became personalists. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada states that Prithu Maharaj was in the topmost position of spiritual advancement, and as such, he was attracted by the Kumaras who were of the same category. So I want to try and the reference is Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 19, text 183-184. And it says, according to the devotee, attachment falls within the 5 categories of Shanta, Rati, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madurai. So this is a conversation between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructing Srila Rupa Goswami. And then it describes the Shanta Rati, and the reason why I'm alluring to that is because a few texts after, text 189, it says examples of Shanta Bhaktas are the 9 Yogendras and the 4 Kumaras. So then if we read the description of Shanta Rasa or Rati, it says when one is completely free from all doubts and material attachments, he attains the neutral position called Shanta. The Shanta Rati realization of Krishna is in the neutral stage between the conception of impersonalism and personalism. This means that one is not very strongly attached to the personal feature of the Lord. An appreciation of the greatness of the Lord is called Shanta Rati. This attachment not to the personal feature but to the impersonal feature. Generally, one in this stage is attached to the Paramatma feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee in Shanta Rati is not very much willing to render service to the Lord. But then it talks about the devotee in Dasya Rati who voluntarily wants to render service. Shanta Rati is neither material nor spiritual, but Dasya Rati is actually on the spiritual platform. So I believe that Prithu Maharaj, I don't know whether we've already read it or not, but I seem to retain some memory of him being on the Dasya Rasa. So if it's said that the Kumaras are Shanta Bhaktas, then they're definitely not on the same rasas. But what I'm trying to understand is the Kumaras have their own bona fide Vaishnava Sampradaya, which I read that their focus is on the worship of Radha and Krishna in the Svakya wedded bliss rasa. So I don't understand how somebody could be on the Shanta rasa. That I find it really hard that they're actually situated on the Shanta rasa, and yet they do have their own Sampradaya worshipping Radha and Krishna. And at the same time, they said that they're in the same category as Prithu Maharaj. So all of that seems rather confusing to me. Hare Krishna.
To take the last part first, yes, the Kumara Sampradaya becomes the Nimbarka Sampradaya, and they're characterized by worship of Radha Krishna. Sampradaya seems to be small and fragmented these days, but there are Nimbarka, what would you say, clusters in Vrindavan. The Navayogendras and the Kumaras are depicted as the exemplars of Shantaras. And when we read, as you're reading there in Chaitanya Charitamrita about Shantaras, it's typically characterized by spiritual realization, by being just above the impersonal level. It's characterized as being rich in knowledge, spiritual knowledge, including knowledge of Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. In the early stage, one is focused on the impersonal feature, and that's how the Kumaras are depicted, that they were great, learned sages, and they were Brahmavadis, they were Brahmaparayana, they were after the impersonal, they were impersonal feature, but they came in touch with Bhagavan outside the gates of Vaikuntha, and they smelled the tulsi at his lotus feet, and they became attracted to the personal feature. So this is sort of the standard of Shantaras. One is no longer interested in anything material. He's interested only in the absolute truth. And he realizes that the absolute truth is Bhagavan, although he hasn't come further into active service. In Dasya, one is absorbed in active service to the Lord. But in Shanta, it's simply appreciation of the greatness of the Lord, with a strong sense that this Lord is the same Brahman, the absolute truth, the ultimate ground of everything. The very strong realization of that absolute reality, but not a very strong urge to render service like the servants of the Lord in Vaikuntha or Vrindavan. So the Kumaras are depicted in this way. This is how they're described in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and elsewhere. As far as Prithu Maharaj being attracted to them, it's not that devotees are only attracted to other devotees in the same rasa, that I'm so interested in associating with a Vaishnav, but I only want Vaishnav Sangha of someone who's in Vatsalya Ras, because I'm attracted to Vatsalya Ras, so I don't want the association of any of those other devotees who might be attracted in Madhurya Ras or Sakya Ras or Dasya Ras. Only the devotees. No, not like that. He's attracted to devotees. He's attracted to those who are devotees of the Lord, in distinction to the materialists, the yogis, these bhukti siddhi mukti kamis. The Kumaras have gone even beyond mukti kama. They're no longer interested in mere liberation. Now they've appreciated the glories of the Lord. So that makes them even from one point of view, no, we won't go with that point of view. But so they're counted as devotees, and the devotees are not so narrow-minded that just like not that the devotees who are advanced in the higher rasas have no regard for Hanuman because he's only in Dasya. Not that. That was the error of the so-called Gopi Bhava Club in Los Angeles. They were only reading about Madhurya Rasa because they didn't want to be distracted by any other rasa. They wanted to achieve the supreme perfection. So they didn't want to read about Yashoda Mai because she's only in Vatsalya. When Prabhupada heard that, that's described that his lips trembled as they would when he would become exceedingly angry. That what is this? That no, what do we want to do? We don't want anything to do with devotees like Yashoda Mai. What is this nonsense? No, she's only in Vatsalya. We don't want to hear about her. We want to hear about Krishna and the gopis. No, that's rejected. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to show Ujjvala Rasa, the brightly shining rasa of Madhurya. But he's eager to hear about Dhruva Maharaj, about Prahlad Maharaj. So this is the standard of the pure devotees, not that they're, no, we only associate with those who are exactly in the same, have exactly the same taste that we do. There's scope for devotees to appreciate other devotees. Not that only those devotees who are exactly like me. Finally, you'll be alone because there's no one exactly like you. No one has exactly the same taste. You'll be alone. But even if you're with those, it's described, yes, that devotees like to associate with those who are of the same inclination as they themselves. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was particularly keen to meet with Ramananda Roy. And yet he glorified Murari Gupta, who was totally dedicated to the service of Lord Ramchandra in Dasya Rasa. Lord Chaitanya didn't say, oh, here's this useless Murari Gupta who we just can't persuade to come to attraction to Radha and Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorified him. They were trying to persuade him, no, you should come to Radha Krishna. And so no, I can't give up Lord Ramchandra. Finally, he decided, all right, by your order, by your indication. Then that night, he couldn't sleep at all. And he was praying to Lord Ramchandra that he could die because he just couldn't give up his attraction to Lord Ramchandra. So then he told the Lord, this is my position, that I just can't. I've sold my head to Raghunath, to Lord Ramchandra. I can't give him up. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorified it. And so not that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, okay, forget it. You're out of my associates. You're not one of us. We want nothing to do with you. We wouldn't want to be contaminated by lower association of someone attracted to Lord Ramchandra in Dasya Rasa. No, he glorified Murari Gupta for his dedication. Hare Krishna.
So, Gurudev, it states that the Kumaras are Shakti Avesh in the Jnana Shakti. But yet, if they're situated on the if they're situated on the Shanta rasa, which they said it's neither material nor spiritual, then how can they be empowered with jnana shakti?
Yes, that's typical of Shantaras, the Navayogendras and the Chatusana, the four Kumars. This is what's prominent in other rasas. Service is prominent, a feeling of protectiveness is prominent, a feeling of equality with the Lord and friendship is prominent. But in Shantaras, this knowledge is very predominant. The understanding of the Lord in terms of tattva is prominent. Neither material nor spiritual. It's spiritual, but it's just off the material platform in the sense that it hasn't developed into active service. It doesn't mean that they have a materialistic conception of life, that we're thinking we're this body. No, and not even that the impersonal absolute is the supreme. They understand that Bhagavan is supreme, but that Bhagavan is the impersonal Brahma. The impersonal Brahma is realized in a higher feature as the personality of Godhead. That they understand. So they have that strong background of actual realization of the impersonal supreme, but they've gone beyond it to the personal aspect. So they're described as being just above the material platform or just above the impersonal platform. But that's a very great platform. How many of us could say, yes, I'm completely aloof to all material attractions, and I've realized the impersonal Brahman, that I've gone to a higher stage. We're still trying to disinfect our senses from the contamination of attraction to matter. But the Kumaras are perfect. They're already completely free from all material attractions. And therefore, they've come to this stage. And they're highly developed in Tattva Gyan, as we'll see in their instructions here and elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita also, the what's the word? Refinement, the deep, highly nuanced spiritual understandings of the Kumaras is depicted. They're sages. They're highly perfected sages. They're practically the emblems of highly perfected sages. So that's emblematic of the Shantaras. Hare Krishna.
Okay, we're out of time. Time for Kirtan. We do have 2 questions which can be taken tomorrow. I'm not here tomorrow, so Madhupati Prabhu will have access to the questions. Okay. Sham Sindhu Prabhu, are you available for Kirtan?
Yes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Vishnu Gunamanta Paripraj Kacharja Ashtotar Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navadvip Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami Ki Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
JaiEshpand Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.